As you get started with your BridalLive system, it's important to understand the setting options that are available. We'll take a look in your settings today. Some we'll go into in detail, others I'll allow you to kind of dive deeper in with your account manager. Really important to go ahead and schedule an onboarding or even just touch base with them as you're getting more familiar with the system. We'll start off by diving into your company settings. This is basically just going to include your company profile and your business hours. I would recommend keeping these as close to reality as possible because they do tie into other areas of the system. Your preferences, you have home screen preferences on your sales widget and which sort of report you'd like to pull information from. Your auto logout at inactivity time, anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour. And your end of day procedures. These will tie into your end of day button up here, and there's nothing really that needs to be done with this other than it being a great review of your day. Always a good idea to take a look at this as you come to a close for the day. Your store logo can be uploaded here, which will apply to some of your printable or email statements that you'll send out. So think receipt templates that go out to the customer. This will be on top of that. So you don't want it to be too large or too small. Your company sales goals can be set here, and you have the option for some client portal preferences. Keep in mind the client portal is an addition to your subscription. And so if you have any further questions about that, feel free to take a look at the client portal setup guide or even reach out to your account manager for additional information. Your account settings are going to be your current plan. Here you can come to change your plan if you choose to upgrade or downgrade your plan, as well as enabling the client portal. You can also see where your billing statements are and add or change any credit cards on file for your billing for BridalLive. You see API access here. This is going to be developmental, so if you have any further questions about that as well, reach out to your account manager. If you have multiple accounts, you'll notice you have the ability to link accounts here as well. For the users and security, you have your user section. Of course, you can add any new users, view the full printable work schedule, and you have a couple of setup options here. You can manage their work schedule, you can adjust appointment type permissions, view, edit, or delete, assuming you're an administrator, their time punches, adjust their monthly sales goals, and adjust their linked logins. Again, linked logins are going to be relative to multiple locations. And we'll just hop into editing here. You see you'll want a first name, last name, and a unique username, as well as their role. Otherwise, you're welcome to add any other additional information you find necessary. User roles are going to be specific to each user role's permissions. So let's say, for example, if you have a seamstress, you might not necessarily want her to have access to your other appointments or your client portal or some settings, for example. So it would be a great idea to go through each one of these tabs and adjust them for each user role. Lastly, in the users and security section, you have the ability to turn on authorizing devices. This isn't necessary, but if you find you need that extra level of security, it will require you to add these and require your administrator to authorize any device. Next, we'll hop into the contact section. Here in the preferences, you have some general stuff you'll want to review. Next, you have your categories. So for the categories, whether you're doing this through automation or manually, you'll want to make sure you have categories, whether they're our defaulted ones or your preferred categories. So that way you can, for example, pull lists of brides that were purchased. Once you have them marked from them creating transactions or sales with you, you'll be able to pull those lists, assuming you're keeping the categories up to date for your contacts. How heard types, you have different options. You can add, edit, or delete any of these according to your shop. Budget ranges. Typically in sections during the appointment process, customers can choose what their budget is. You have the option to let them type in a budget or choose through a budget range. If you were to choose through a budget range, you would want to come in here and create your budget ranges. And of course, event locations. You can add these as your preferences are. Activities, this is going to be relative to your appointments. So if we look at the preferences, you have some appointment and task preferences, some color options, and I won't go through each one of these, but definitely recommend taking a look. You have your public calendar URL if you'd like to connect to that, as well as some waitlist settings if you choose to have a waitlist for your appointment booking options. In the appointment types, you have your full list of appointments, and in this, we'll just hop into one here so you can take a look. You have your name, duration, a color option for the calendar, whether you'd like appointments to be bookable online, whether it's active or inactive, and then of course, if you choose to do so, add a booking charge, whether it's upon booking or cancellation. In this last section here, you would want to add a booking fee. That's what the item it's looking for is. Calendar blackout dates are going to be relative to your holidays. So if you'd like to just fully black out a calendar date, you'll hop into here and add those dates accordingly. Task types are going to be relative to your tasks for your internal associates or yourselves. You can add, edit, or delete any of these as needed. Next, we'll hop into your fitting room settings. For the fitting rooms, you have a couple of options in your booking method, whether they're first available or blocks. We highly recommend taking a look at the fitting room help articles in our help center. They will definitely give you a better idea of what each one of those means. But overall, for the first available, it's going to be more of, let's say, 30-minute increments according to your open hours for your business. The blocks will be more specific according to blocks you've created in your fitting rooms. Let's say, for example, you created an 11 a.m., a 1 p.m., and a 3 p.m. option. Those would be the only 3 options they'd see on your scheduler. You have the option of allowing each different fitting room to be bookable online, as well as turning their status to active or inactive. The setup, as mentioned, we definitely recommend taking a look at the help article for setting up fitting rooms. But for the most part, you'll see at the top section is where you create, and underneath the green section is where you review what's currently in your fitting room setup. In the point of sale, there's quite a bit of information in the preferences. So in your general preferences, you'll, as I mentioned, definitely want to go through each one of these options. And then, of course, here in your default deposit percentage, you can adjust that. Whether you typically take 50%, 100%, this is a good place to go ahead and adjust that for your transactions. And then again, some default options for your transactions and payments. To the right here, you see some receipt preferences, which are going to show on your client portal if you choose to be a part of the client portal, or your printed and email receipts for your customers. There's some smart filter preferences here you'll want to adjust as needed. And then of course here you have your digital signature preferences. If you're trying to run a little bit more paperless, digital signature is a great option, and you have the option to require payment method signatures as well as transaction type signatures. For sales agreements, you can use our defaults here or create your own. You also have the option to duplicate and then just make adjustments as needed. Definitely recommend that you go ahead and type in the box versus copying and pasting from other applications. You have your payment methods you'll want to add, your tax codes that you'll want to add, and of course your commission settings. You have a couple different options here. Again, there are some great help articles that'll walk you through your commission settings, but for the most part, just know you have the option to calculate commissions when the transaction is created, when the payment comes in, or when the transaction is fully completed. You also have the option to do it based on department, employee, or sales per hour. You have the option to add registers if you'd like, I would say if you're not commonly using cash day to day, it's not necessary because all of the reports will also give you the information you're looking for. Payment plans are a fairly new feature here in BridalLive, and we definitely recommend taking a look at your help articles again that'll walk you through step by step. But just know you have the option of setting up automated or manually set payment plans where you can go ahead and agree with your customer when they'll be paying the rest of their balance. For the next two options in your inventory and purchasing preferences, you'll basically want to go through each one of these and just make adjustments as needed. You have your general preferences, search preferences, merchandise label preferences, and if you're a prom shop or an evening wear shop, you may want to turn on your prom registry and adjust your preferences here. Similarly, with purchasing, there are just some options that you can turn on yes or no for your purchase orders as well as your pickup slips. In your messaging, you'll notice you have the option to let BridalLive send emails for you or use your own email server. You can choose to update these as needed. Email templates and text message templates are available here. And just to give you a little background on the email templates, we do recommend using HTML, which you're welcome to get in touch with your website designer or work on your own. You'll notice that the source code button is here. If you're not familiar with HTML, that may not mean much to you. You're also welcome to make adjustments as needed straight in the box. Again, similar to the sales agreements, we definitely recommend typing right in the box versus copying and pasting from different applications. And similarly, you can add new templates, delete templates, and duplicate existing templates. Similar in the text message templates, you have all of your text message templates available, and you can add, duplicate, and delete as needed. For your integrations, we have quite a few options here. We do link to QuickBooks, Twilio, MailChimp, and TaxJar. There are help articles on all of these options, and we would say take a look in the Help Center as you need assistance on each one of these. And if you need to further reach out to your account manager for assistance, that's absolutely fine. One thing I did want to mention here with the merchant account options, for accounts that are in the United States, you have BridalLive Pay as an option, and for accounts that are outside of the US, you have Stripe as your option. For smart flows, these are the automation section of BridalLive. So you can see here if you have someone that marked an appointment canceled, it was triggered by an appointment being canceled relative to the appointment type bridal. We are going to follow through these steps. And by we, I mean the system will recognize and remind you to send an email, the template being canceled no-show appointment, send a text message, the template being appointment confirmation, and create a task for your logged in associate to follow up. There's a lot of customization in these, and as you take a look further, you will be able to add and adjust these as needed, and of course keep in touch with your account manager for further questions. Marketplace settings will be relative to our internal marketplace database. Here you'll want to go ahead and update your categories and departments to what is existing in the marketplace. And lastly, we have your website form settings. For the website forms, keep in mind these are forms that you'll typically add to your website. So here you have your general form settings. You can adjust the background color, the font, and add an email to which you'd like to receive new form submissions. You have a couple of lead forms here, and you have the option to choose from a request form or a scheduler to add to your website for your appointment bookings. These you'll want to kind of dive a little deeper into each one of the settings, but for the most part, you can see that you can adjust the title, completion, and sign up text, as well as adjusting whether you'd like to include a budget amount or range, a field, how heard field, dress size, and country if needed. As mentioned in your fitting room, your first available will read off of your appointment hours in your forms. The link to form is going to be if you need to add this to your social media and have them open in a new tab. The embedded form code on all of your forms are going to be for your ability to place it onto your website. So if you're working with a website designer, you just want to simply copy and paste this iframe and send that to them in an email or chat. They can then place that onto your website. The interview form is also what we call the registration form and is linked in your confirmation email as a default. So this is something that you're basically using to get some discovery information even before the customer comes in. It's also called the registration form if I didn't mention that already. The feedback form is typically linked to an email that is defaulted to send after an appointment is completed. So you'll ask for their feedback, and then that will connect into the testimonials, which are able to be pasted again onto your website if you choose to. Now that we've gone through all of the settings, I definitely recommend going through each one of these on your own just to get familiar with what's available, maybe even test what these changes do and how they apply to your transactions, your contacts, your appointments, fitting rooms, and so on. Every shop's going to have a different experience with their settings. So, of course, if we didn't go through something that you feel is relevant for yours, get in touch with your account manager, as I mentioned earlier, so that way you can really get familiar with the system and make things easier for your day-to-day in your shop.